Hey there guys, welcome to a brand new edition of Time About the Movies. We're jumping into March of 1989, the weekend of March 3rd. And we've got several new movies to talk about this weekend, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump on into the first movie, Lean On Me, starring Morgan Freeman from John G. Avildsen, the director of Rocky and the Karate Kid.
Somebody else wants the job. East Side High was out of control, and then Joe Clark took over.
Take out your pencils and write. I want the name. Every hoodlum, drug dealer, and miscreant on my desk by noon today.
They called him crazy.
You used to call me Crazy Joe? Well, now they can call me Batman. I want you to blame yourself.
From the director of Rocky and the Karate Kid.
Welcome to the new East Side High.
Lean on Me.
Yeah, this is another one of those inspirational teacher type of stories. Morgan Freeman stars as Crazy Joe, the teacher, Joe Clark, and you can pretty much see where it's going to go from here. He's going to he's going to go to the school that's filled with dangerous people, violence, and guns blazing, all that kind of stuff. And then by the end of the movie, he's going to turn it all around. Again, we've seen this type of stuff done over and over again. We'd have a more successful movie that would do something like this with later on down the line with Dangerous Minds, and like the inspirational teacher trend would continue to be successful with Dead Poet Society later on in the year. Much different movie than this, but I mean, for what this is, it's alright. It's nothing too crazy, it's nothing too spectacular, but it works for what it is. I mean, Morgan Freeman, it's Morgan Freeman doing what Morgan Freeman does best. He usually doesn't sleepwalk through a role as much as usual, as most actors would do, but yeah, overall, it's a decent movie. It's not a great movie all around. It definitely has a lot of those cliches that you see in movies like this. But overall, it's fine for what it is. I'd say there are better movies like this, but for John G. Avildsen, this is not one of his worst movies he's made as a director. So I would say that if you are curious about it, I'd say definitely give it a watch. Inspirational teachers were a trend during this time of the year, but also body-switching comedies, too. In the case of our next movie, which is Dream a Little Dream.
What?
Oh my God. Come on.
Joel is really crazy about that young lady. You know, he's also a little bit on the edge when it comes to her, you know what I mean?
This wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh my God. From him.
Now, Bobby has 3 days to find himself,
That's rude, mister.
to pass high school,
I just thought SAT meant Saturday afternoon test.
and steal his best friend's girl.
Well, maybe.
Jason Robards, Corey Feldman, Piper Laurie, Meredith Salinger, Harry Dean Stanton, Corey Haim.
You were expecting maybe Freddy Krueger.
Dream a Little Dream.
Yeah, this was the time when we had a lot of these body switch type comedies. We've had stuff like Big, which was the biggest success of them all. But then you get stuff like Vice Versa, which was alright. And then, Like Father, Like Son, 18 Again, and now Dream a Little Dream, which of all of these movies, this is one of the ones that really doesn't work. Like this has a lot of there's a lot of confusing elements in here, despite a pretty good cast, which includes the Corey brothers, Jason Robards, and Piper Laurie. But yeah, this is definitely not one of the better ones. It's a pretty lackluster body switch comedy. But it's not just 2 people switching bodies, it's 4 people switching bodies, which really causes a lot of confusion overall in the film itself. Like, the jokes don't really work all that well, and I think just people went to go see this because it had the 2 Coreys in it, because, like I said, this was the 3rd film that they were in. They would also have License to Drive later on in the year, and I can't remember what the other one was. I think, was it Lost Boys? Let me think for a sec. It was Lost Boys, and License to Drive was actually the year before, so yeah, this is definitely not one of the better films from the 2 guys, and it's just kind of a generic body switch comedy, not really one of the better ones. Definitely a hard skip on this one, so let's go on ahead and move on to the next movie.
I don't know what to say.
Oh, but the Lord is my shepherd.
Meet Zach Hutton.
Darling,
After 10 years of marital bliss, his luck is about to run out.
Come on, Angie, for God's sake. Oh.
He's been thrown out, and he's about to discover that being single can be dangerous. John Ritter.
But there is a God! And he's a gag writer! What the fuck?
In a Blake Edwards film.
God, I wish I didn't hate you so much, Zach.
Mom. Mom. Is this spooky? Mom.
Skin Deep.
So Skin Deep is a sex comedy about a womanizing alcoholic writer played by John Ritter who just always ends up getting into bad situations, like it's with ex-girlfriends, jealous boyfriends, the law, etc., etc. And it's a weird movie. It's a weird movie because so much is going on, but there really isn't a simple explanation for what the purpose of the movie is. Like, you really don't know what the hook is. I'll give it to John Ritter. He's trying his best with the material given to him. And for Blake Edwards, this is not one of his worst movies as a filmmaker, but it's not really one of his better ones either. I think after the Pink Panther movies died out with Peter Sellers, he really had a hard time coming up with as good comedies as he did when he was at his peak with the Pink Panther and 10. Even though Victor Victoria was a big hit for him in '82, this just felt like another one of those movies that was trying a little too hard to be like the next big sex comedy hit, because these were big hit. A lot of the sex comedies were big at the time in this decade, of course, with Porky's, Revenge of the Nerds, all those Animal House, all those type of movies at the time. And this movie really just couldn't find a proper hook to go with it, I think. Like I said, I thought John Ritter was pretty good in this movie. I think there are times when there are some legitimately funny moments in there, but there aren't really a whole lot there for me to really recommend this movie. I mean, it felt like there was potential here, but there wasn't really a whole lot there to work with. So, overall, a lot of disappointment with this one, but I've seen far worse. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. Written by the same man who wrote Apocalypse Now and produced by the same man, Albert Ruddy, who did The Godfather. Farewell to the King looks like it's trying to be one of those sweeping epic movies. Like it's trying to be like another Godfather type of movie. Not in terms of like an epic story, because you have Nick Nolte in here in the leading role. Nigel Havers is also in this movie. You have these sweeping shots of an epic war going on. This takes place during World War II. And I haven't seen the movie, but from what I've seen here, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, visually it looks impressive, but the story I haven't heard a whole lot of good things about this movie. I mean, I haven't heard the worst things about it either. I think it's got like it's like a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert really liked it. So, can't really say anything about it. It looks like interesting enough. Might give it a chance one day whenever I get a chance to, but like I said, I'm not gonna rush out to see it if I don't really need to. So, that's my quick thoughts on Farewell to the King, even though I've never seen it before. Let's move on to the next movie.
I'm 50 years old. I'm a partner in a big law firm. You know, I'm very successful, and I still haven't resolved my relationship with my mother.
Zoe, I know this is difficult, but your father and I are trying a reconciliation. What? Look, I'm moving out.
Where you gonna go? What can you afford? You don't want to sleep with me anymore? Hey, I'm a big boy. You don't have to go out in the street. We're still employer-employee, right?
They bald, too.
I'm not completely bald.
You will be.
New York Stories is an anthology film with 3 different mini-films, such as Life Lessons from director Martin Scorsese, Life Without Zoe from director Francis Ford Coppola, and Oedipus Rex, written by Woody Allen, starring him. And These are three heavyweight directors working on an anthology film, and for the most part, it's a pretty good movie. I liked all three of the segments well enough. I don't think any of them were truly groundbreaking in a way, but I think there was an interesting idea of making 3 segments about stories that take place in New York City. You got all these great actors involved here: Woody Allen, Rosanna Arquette, Mia Farrow, Julie Kavner, Nick Nolte again, Talia Shire, and overall, I'd say it's a pretty decent movie. I wouldn't say it's one of the best movies from any of these 3 guys, but it is fine for what it is. I think it is. I think there are enough things about these movies that have merit to them. These short movies, I should say, that have merit to them, but they're not going to stand out as some of the best work by these guys. So overall, good movies. Not gonna really be remembered as much afterwards. So on to the next film.
Now prepare yourself for a shock.
Looks like about a pound and a half here, Mrs. Hollander.
John Lithgow.
He's a bigger schmuck than my husband.
Probably. I like him.
Teri Garr.
He's gone, Dave. Oh, it's foolproof. It'll work.
And Randy Quaid.
We're up against a master, Harley.
I'm gonna be sick.
Out Cold.
Honestly, when I heard about Out Cold, I thought, oh, they remade the 2001 movie before the 2001 movie came out, but no, this has nothing to do with the 2001 Out Cold, which we'll get to eventually, which you might be surprised on that one. But this Out Cold, you got some decent talent, and you got really good talent here. John Lithgow, Teri Garr, Randy Quaid, Bruce McGill is in this. I can't really say much about the movie. I've never seen it before. I've seen one good review from it from Pauline Kael, but other than that, it's an interesting. It looks interesting. It looks bizarre. It looks out of the ordinary. Plus, I mean, this is peak time for these actors, so I mean, it could be good. That's really all I got to say about that one. Let's go on to the last film.
It's been said there is no mob.
Would you describe in detail just what it was you did for Mr. Luke?
Whatever he wanted.
Bailey, that there is justice in America.
It's taken me 3 years to get Vic Luca in front of a grand jury. You gotta help me nail this guy.
That a witness and his family can be protected.
If somebody makes me unhappy, I send for you. You take good care of that kid, because he's my life insurance.
It's all a lie. Hit List.
Hit List, a movie where the director and Jan Michael Vincent were drinking during the shoot, even though Jan Michael Vincent was hired because he told the director that he had just finished rehab. That's pretty much all I've got on this movie. I've never heard of it before. Looks pretty generic, but if your actor has to drink again, even though he had just gone through rehab, then there's got to be a problem here. The movie just looks pretty generic. That trailer it just feels like it's a mafia movie. It's a corrupt court case mafia movie type of thing. Nothing about it really looks all that interesting. I mean, if you have to put an image of a sign that says "wrong way, severe tire damage" when you just showed the severe tire damage before you showed that sign, that's not a promising sign for this particular movie. So it's got a decent cast in it too. Lance Henriksen, Charles Napier, Rip Torn. That's all I've got on this one too. I mean, it looks pretty generic, but at least it's got somewhat of a decent cast to it, so can't really argue much about that. And with that said, that's going to wrap up this edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we take a look at the 6th installment of the Police Academy series. Yes, we're at Police Academy 6. I can't believe they made as many movies as they did with that. We also got Chances Are with Robert Downey Jr. and Sybil Shepherd. The Adventures of Barry Munchausen from Terry Gilliam. Jackknife Hanussen. I don't even know what that last one is, but we'll talk about it next time around. So thank you guys for watching this episode. Check out some previous episodes on the next page with the playlist and the previous episode above that. I'll see you guys for the next one. Until the next time I see you, take care.